Hello everybody! Today I am going to play through Emerald with a Pokemon that I think it's not as forgotten as many others only because of its role in the Regis quest. Other than that, it's not a remarkable Pokemon, somewhat common typing, meh stats and ability, pretty bad move pool, so I don't really expect it to do very well, but maybe I am wrong and it's going to surprise all of us. Quick reminder of the rules: I can only use my starter in combat, I can't use any consumables in combat, I can't raise my evasion in any way, and I can't use cheats or glitches. There is another problem with Relicanth that I did not mention earlier. It is part of the slow growth rate, which means that it will gain levels a lot slower than many other Pokémons. It might not be a huge deal since there are a lot of trainers around the region, but I can see it causing a few extra resets in a couple of specific points. Since I am a rock type, the first few fights of the game are very easy because I resist the common normal moves. Trico for now can't touch me, but as soon as it learns any grass move, it is going to become extremely dangerous. By the time I got to the Team Aqua Grant in the forest, Relicanth learned Water Gun, which is a special move and my special attack sucks, but at least it's stab, and while it may not be that useful in this fight, I'm sure it will make Roxanne a lot easier. And then my 4 times weakness to grass comes back to bite me. I lost twice against this random girl and her single Shroomish, so I decided to go do something easier, like the first gym. As I mentioned earlier, Water Gun makes this gym doable even at lower level. Her Geodudes are very weak to water, so they go down in one hit. But, like always, her Ace is a bit more resilient. Quick reminder that Rock does not resist Rock, so her attacks hit me for neutral, but thanks to my quite high base defense, they don't do a whole lot. So in a little bit I can finish this last Pokemon too. Once we have acquired the first badge, we can start the optional fight against May. Unlike earlier, she is a bit more scary now because her starter finally learned Absorb. Fortunately, it is still very frail since it is a baby, so it dies to a rock tomb before it can be a problem. Next, I skipped Brawly because he is super effective against us, and even if my defense is good, I don't think I can handle him yet, especially if he sets up. The two Team Aqua Grants in Slateport, on the other hand, are a joke. As long as Rock Tomb does not miss, I can pick up a one-hit KO on all of their Pokémons, and it is even a non-contact move, so no rough skin either. And then it's finally time for the May 2 fight. This one was kinda hard. Her team is not impressive except for her starter, who by now evolved, so it's a lot stronger. To be fair, I would have won first try if Rock Tomb did not miss on it, so I blame Rock type sucking for those losses. Unfortunately, this was the calm before the storm. Watson was way too powerful for me, and leveling was not really an option because of the slow growth. So after losing a couple of times, I took a break, backtracked, and attempted Brawly. By this time, Relicanth learned Takedown, which is not a great move, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Also, our ability can finally come into play since it will negate the recoil damage. Once I defeated him, I had to go back to Watson, and it was not a pleasant experience. I lost a good number of times between getting unlucky with paralysis and confusion. There are plenty of problems in this fight, but the biggest one is Magneton, because none of my moves can do a whole lot of damage. Ultimately, I had to use Yawn on it and hope for the best. As you can see by the number of resets, it did not work all that well, but at least I got a bit lucky on the successful attempt. It stayed asleep for a bit, but the main star of the show is the crit, who allows me to bypass all of the potions and make the fight a lot shorter. After we took him down too, we have to deal with Maxi. He is not that bad. While his Maitiena is annoying thanks to Intimidate, his team is not that strong. Even his ace is not a big deal since he is 4 times weak to H2O, so Water Gun can get the job done. Once we stopped him from using Eruption not in a Pokemon battle, we have to make our way down the volcano and start the next gym. This one is headed by Flannery and it should not be too bad. Thankfully, none of her Pokémons have Solar Beam. That would have been very bad for me. Sure, her ground types have Magnitude, but even if they use it, my high defense will protect me. I also switched from Takedown to Secret Power. It has less power, but more accuracy, and personally I prefer the reliability. I might have underestimated the turtle. She used Attract to make me act once every red moon, then used Sunny Day to make my water moves weaker, and like if that was not enough, she also got the paralysis from Body Slam. Once we are halfway done with the badges, we have to immediately go back to Norman to claim the fifth one. He uses normal type Pokémons who are not that great against rock types. The only somewhat dangerous move he has are Feint Attack, but it will not do that much damage, and the second one is Counter from Slacking, but as long as I'm careful I should not be hit by that one. And then we yawned each other, so I guess we can just put the fight on hold for a few turns. He wakes up before me and starts to harass me, but eventually I wake up too, and in a couple more turns I can defeat the Yeti. I'm not sure why Norman did not use any potions on it, but I'm glad he didn't, because that would have just unnecessarily made the fight longer. The rest of his team is a bit troublesome, but they still can't really touch me, so eventually we made it out of this fight in one piece. Once we have the Surf HM, I can teach it to Relicanth to have a decent stab move. It is still special as all water type moves, but at least it has a good amount of power. In no time we reached the next fight against May. This time around I am a lot less worried about her. While her team is quite powerful, I am a bit overleveled, so the fight with her is doable. Next, we have the gym fight with Winona. This time around, we actually have the type advantage and a move to destroy her. I'm not sure why they made Ancient Power special in later gens, but for now it is still physical, so overall it's a nice upgrade over Rock Tomb, especially because it has 100 accuracy, not to mention the 10% chance to get an Omni Boost. The only drawback is the low amount of PPs, but it does not matter much since trainers can only have 6 Pokémons. Winona was a walk in the park, and much like her, the last match against May in front of them all is very easy too. She does not stand a ghost of a chance, considering that most of her team is weak to rock. For now, and most of the rest of the game, Ancient Power is going to be the best move in our arsenal, because even if everything else fails, I can always fish for that Omni Boost. The only thing that I am not used to, because I don't play with slow growth Pokémons, is the fact that they learn moves at high levels, like Relicanth, who learns Double Edge at level 56. It might have been a good tool for the second fight against Maxi. After defeating him, a huge portion of the map opens up. Initially I did not grind much and beelined for Tate and Liza, but unfortunately they turned out to be harder than I expected, so after a few losses I went on a grinding spree and came back higher level. This time too, it was not easy. I was surprised that they gave me so much trouble. I know it's a 2v1, but I have decent moves. Surf is super effective on most of their team, and Double Edge can do a lot of damage, not to mention Ancient Power. But it was not enough, and even in the successful attempt, things were not looking so bright for our fish friend. After that unpleasant surprise, it's time for the old reliable fight against the Team Magma guys. Like always, this one is quite long. I used Surf a bit, mostly because of the camera ups. Talking about something different, do you know what Relicanth is inspired by? It is based on a real-life creature called the Relicanth, or Qualecanth, as I like to call it. This species is millions of years old, and we thought it went extinct with the dinosaurs, but recently, and I mean just a few decades ago, we found some of them in a random cave. Maybe that story has something to do with why it is needed in waking up the ancient golems in the Pokemon franchise. Talking about random caves, after we got the dive from Steven, that's exactly our next destination, where we find Archie about to wake up Kyogre, who is based on an orca, my personal favorite real-life animal. Much like Maxi, his team is not great. It takes a while because of Intimidate, but other than that they can't do much to me, and when I hit myself in confusion I don't take much damage because of the high defense. You know how the story goes from here. We are asked to go meet with Rayquaza for help, and he scares away the other two legendaries so that the region is saved. Immediately after that, we can start the last gym. Juan is kinda scary. We are neutral to water, but his Pokémons are not weak, and the best I can do is a double edge to the face. If brute strength is not enough, I am going to be in trouble. Fortunately, his levels are too low, and even if some of his Pokémons survive a hit and are a bit annoying, ultimately they go down too, without putting up too much of a fight. So, with his whole team defeated, we can claim the last badge and proceed to the Pokemon League. Before we can enter, we are stopped by Wally, who wants a match in the Victory Road. I was expecting him to maybe be a problem. He has a few Pokémons who are good against me, like Magneton and Roselia, but he did not play well and just allowed me to roll over his entire team. That was a weak performance, Wally. You gotta do better if you want me to still root for you. After dealing with that distraction, I can finally enter the Famed League and take on the first of the Elite Four members. Sidney is annoying as always. After dealing with that distraction, I can finally enter the Famed League and take on the first of the Elite Four members. Sidney is annoying as always. Like the two team leaders, Mightyena is the most dangerous Pokémon. Between Intimidate and the other status moves, it can ruin your chances of success. The rest of the team is not very strong, but the debuffs from his lead make themselves heard and cause me to spend a lot more time against them than I would like. The problem is not the damage they can do, but all the status and debuffs they can inflict on you. Thanks to a boost from Swagger, my attack gets back in the positive, so once I stop punching myself, I can sweep the rest of his team. Right after Sidney, we have to take on Pheobe, and I was a bit worried. I know I am not going to have enough damage to defeat her lead immediately, even with Earthquake, so I lost once to Curse. During the second attempt, I guess she took pity on me because she used Shadow Punch instead. This allowed me to take it down a couple of turns later. I take a few more hits from the rest of her Pokémons, some of whom are super effective, but since I have a bunch of HP left over and a citrus berry to patch me up when needed, I can finish the match while still standing, or swimming I guess? Again, I'm not sure why Curse is not her only move, but I'm glad that's the case, otherwise I would have had to wait for a crit and that would have been annoying. The third member is Glacia, and for once we can take a bit of a break. All of her Pokémons are Ice type, so they are weak to Ancient Power. I would have liked a boost, not because I needed it, but I have yet to get one since I learned the move. On the other hand, I don't really want to consume the RNG because I am definitely going to need it for the next couple of fights. Once I am done with Mr. Freeze's wife, we are face to face with Drake. For him I saved up the Ice Beam TM so that Relicanth can have a super effective move against them. Unfortunately, since my special attack is so low, I was not able to do much damage to his Pokémons. This caused me to lose once or twice, but not too many times. I was spamming Ancient Power because now a boost would be very helpful. I don't get it for most of the fight until I reach his ace. Fortunately, Salamence does not have Earthquake, so his damage output is not that high and gives me time to finish him. Only the champion left, and as we all learned by now, if you don't have a plan for him, you will lose. And guess who came here empty-handed? Unfortunately, there is not a whole lot I could do. Maybe rest could have helped, but I think most of his Pokémons can take me out in these 3 turns of sleep. I also noticed that Relicanth can learn Calm Mind, but all of his special moves are resisted, so that was a dead end too. So ultimately I had to rely on getting boosts from Ancient Power. It took a few attempts, and because of Intimidate from Gyarados, my attack gets back at neutral. But at least the rest of my stats are still up, so I can outspeed his Pokémons, and with a bit of luck, like Knowledge Seed from Ludicolo, I can bring home the win. As expected, Relicanth had a rough time with the region, but it could have been worse. Thank you for watching, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and share it with a friend. If you don't mind, subscribe and ring the bell. See you next week with a different video. Bye!